Hey guys, StatKing here to go over this week's episodes of AEW Dark and NWA Power. This week's episode of Power actually aired on Monday as opposed to the Tuesday due to the holiday week. Hope everybody had a great Christmas or Hanukkah, whatever you guys celebrate. And here we're off to the races, starting with a match between Eddie Kingston and Ricky Starks. But the match itself doesn't start because we have a promo segment between Trevor Murdoch and Zicky Dice. They're at the interview table, and Trevor Murdoch announces that he's received an NWA contract. Congratulations for that. Zicky Dice does not seem that enthused by this and is more interested in talking about how he's going to win the tournament and the, I guess, escort or stripper that he spent time with after his match last week. Out of nowhere, Pope shows up in the NWA and announces that he is recruiting and is going to be taking everybody into consideration as he looks to build a team, a faction of his own, people he can mold, people he can train and mentor. Zicky asks if he is somebody that Pope will be interested in, but Pope decides not to answer, instead going from the interview desk over to the commentary desk for the match. So this match is quick because it has to be. Last week they announced that all of the TV title tournament matches are 6 minutes and 5 seconds in length. If there's no winner after that, then both of the men in the match are eliminated from the tournament, and whoever they would have faced basically receives a bye. So this it puts pressure on everybody involved, and they got to fit in a lot into the matches, both from an out of character perspective and from an in character perspective. But one thing that I've noticed is that Power has done really well in taking short or short-ish matches and making them feel really big and fitting a lot of action in there. This match is no exception. Starks picks up the win, and he's going to advance in the tournament. There's a lot of recaps of the Aldous turn from last week. Something that NWA is pushing very heavily is the fact that Nick Aldis is now a heel. Nick Aldis has kind of been a face for majority of his run as in the NWA as a champion. He has worked matches here and there as a heel, and he has displayed heelish tendencies in the past. One match that he definitely worked as a heel was the match with Cody at All In for the title, and as well the rematch, the 2 out of 3 falls at the 70th anniversary show. So he has been a heel-ish in matches and in promos, but he's never been a heel to this extent. He's never turned on Tim Storm or done anything like that. So after the recap, they have Royce Isaacs with a wild card, one of the 4 people in the Aldis faction. He comes out with an unknown woman who he introduces as May Valentine. Royce says that he wants to impress his girl, and as a result, he's willing to fight anyone. Unfortunately for him, James Storm comes out, and James is still not in a good mood after everything that's happened between him and Nick Aldis. And he says, well, if Royce is willing to fight anybody, James Storm is always available. Isaacs backs down, saying that his shoulders hurt. James Storm gets him into the ring, but Isaac leaves the ring and leaves the studio with My Valentine. The referee starts the count. James says, he's not coming back. Let's just take this count out win. And so he does. After this, there is an absolutely hilarious segment with Eli Drake. It's a promo segment. Eli comes out to the interview table talking about what his plans are for 2020. His goals sounds a lot like he wants gold, and he has alcohol with him. And I don't know if he's pretending to be drunk. Okay, if he's pretending to be drunk, well done. If he was actually drunk, well done, because he didn't forget any of the words or mess up the promo in any way other than something that he then saved, assuming he was drunk. He was talking about how, first he says, look at my shoes. These are the shoes of a champion. Look at my jacket. This is the shoes of a champion. And then the crowd's laughing. He stops and he goes, I just say that was the shoes of a champion? Well, all right. And he rolls with it very well. So if he's not drunk, good job. If he was drunk, good job. He also gets the crowd to chant, yeah, at different points and times of the promos of call and answer. And then Josephus is out singing O Come All Ye Faithful, and Eli takes parts of the second verse and adds in the yeah, and the crowd definitely eats it up. At the end of it, crowd's clapping, crowd's really happy about the whole segment, and things take a turn because then comes Nick Aldis and his group. Nick Aldis cuts a promo. He hands out jackets that look a lot like, to his group, that look a lot like the Nightmare Family, the dark blue and red tracksuit jackets. And he says it's kind of, the promo is basically along the lines of he doesn't want to be disrespected anymore. He's done a lot for the NWA. He's done a lot for the business. He brings out Rock and Roll Express to clarify Ricky Morton's comments from last week. Aldis is politely angry about everything Morton is saying. Morton says, in the spirit of Christmas, if he said anything to insult Nick Aldis, then he apologizes for it. Aldis accepts the apology, but then says that Morton should be careful before he opens his mouth again. Moving onwards, NWA gives us a 6-woman tag match. We have Allison Kay, ODB, and Ashley Vox versus Melina, Marty Bell, and Thunder Rosa. During the match, the announcers note that whoever wins the match, whoever pins the match, will be able to pick a woman from the other team and have a singles match against them. So it stands to reason that if Thunder Rosa, Marty Bell, or Melina win, they can ask for a title match against Allison Kay, the NWA Women's Champion. They start with ODB, then Vox is in. They set up Allison Kay for the hot tag. They're booking this match properly compared to some of the previous matches, as I've noticed and as I've noted in the videos with you guys. Thunder Rosa picks up the win, pinning Vox going after the injured shoulder. It's kind of a good callback to everything that has happened, whether it's been at the pay-per-view last week and now this week. So now Thunder Rosa can pick who she wants to face. So she has the ability to go after Allison Kay and the Women's Championship. When they reach the interview table, Melina, however, speaks for Thunder Rosa and says that Thunder Rosa will be facing ODB, which does not seem on the up and up. You would think that you'd want a title match, but Melina definitely wants to save that for herself. She doesn't want to run the risk of Thunder Rosa in the match against Allison Kay, Thunder Rosa winning, and then now she's got to find a way to get the title from Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa is a little nonplussed about this, but she accepts it. She's like, okay, fine, I'll face ODB. Now we have the Dawsons and Tim Storm out. Now, throughout this segment, the Dawsons are not really going to be involved, so I think that they are just out to provide protection of sorts to Tim Storm. There's no kind of clarification really about why they're there, so it's a little confusing, but I mean, if you roll with it, it kind of makes sense. The Dawsons have had some issues with the wild cards now, and the wild cards are allied with Nick Aldis. Tim Storm's on the other side. Friend of my friend kind of, or enemy of my enemy kind of is my friend kind of situation. So maybe that's it. There's no explanation, but you can kind of pick up why they're there. So now they're here to announce the next matches in the TV title tournament. First name selected, Tim Storm. If you have a feeling that you know where this is going, because you know who else is in this tournament, they are not waiting for this match. Nick Aldis is announced. His name is pulled out of the fishbowl of names. And so next week we will have Tim Storm versus Nick Aldis to see who will go forward in the TV title tournament. Tim Storm cuts a really strong promo on his mother, on what he's looking forward to doing in the wrestling business, how it's not time for him to give up. He channels a little bit of Dusty Rhodes. It's a really strong promo. Probably to me, it's the highlight of this entire episode, followed very closely by the Eli Drake promo. But really solid work. You feel it. You get that feeling that next week is must see. You want to see Tim Storm beat the life out of Nick Aldis. We know that Tim Storm can't challenge for the NWA World Title, but if he can beat Nick Aldis and get the TV title, in a way, he will have made up for some of the pain that Nick Aldis has caused him, or the pain, I guess, in this situation that Camille's shoulder has caused him. And now we have Question Mark versus Colt Cabana, our main event. It's another match in the TV title tournament. This is another match that has to be 6 minutes and 5 seconds in length. It's something interesting to note that the announcers say, and I think it may come into play next week. They note that Aaron Stevens is not out with question mark because NWA management have banned all outside interference. This is kind of a throwaway line because you're not expecting, you're thinking, okay, I mean, Aaron Stevens might come out, but you're not expecting it for something like this. Question mark is over with the fans, but you're not expecting a situation where Aaron Stevens would matter because question mark has not shown a need for Stevens, where Stevens has shown a need for question mark. So it's a throwaway line that may not have any relevance, except we've already just been told Tim Storm versus Nick Aldis next week. Aldis can't rely on the wild cards or his insurance policy, Camille. So question mark wins with Mongovia and Spike on Cabana. It's a decent but quick match. You have the finishes. Colt Cabana jumps off the top rope to try to get on to do a crossbody. Mongovia and Spike, 1, 2, 3. That's all she wrote. A little quick promo backstage from question mark and Aaron Stevens, and that's the end of Power. Moving on to AEW Dark. This is a 3-match episode of AEW Dark. Sammy Guevara versus Brandon Cutler. The Hybrid 2 versus Best Friends versus Pride and Powerful versus Private Party. And Joey Janela versus Sean Spears with Tully Blanchard. We start off with Sammy Guevara and Brandon Cutler. This is a really good opening match. They do a lot of character building here. They're showing the hubris and pride of Sammy Guevara. There's plenty of times in this match where he could have beaten Brandon Cutler without any issue. And I do mean that. Like, they go out of their way to show you and tell you that Sammy Guevara can win this match without a problem. But he lets it get away from him multiple times. He lets Brandon Cutler hang around way too long. It's interesting because both of them are 0-4 in singles matches. Sammy has wins because of tag and trio matches. But Brandon does not. Brandon needs the win. And they've also teased on being the elite concept of Brandon being part or joining the Dark Order. I think, so there were 3 people who had purple masks when it comes to the Dark Order attack on the Young Bucks, the Elite, Kenny Omega, and SCU. Kenny runs out to save them. It's after that tag title match. There were 3 people who had purple masks on. 2 are Alex Reynolds and John Silver. The 3rd, they didn't reveal. And I think the way it looked like to me, it looked like it was Brandon Cutler. This match would have technically happened before, because AEW Dark is taped before. So I don't know if this is necessarily, I don't think they've ever really highlighted that these matches are taped before. It's a known thing for us, the viewing audience, but I don't know if they've ever really acknowledged it. So maybe it'll come into play, but Brandon Cutler does lose, but he loses after Sammy Guevara could have pinned him much earlier. So now the bulk of the show is going to be this 4-way tag team match. This match is really good. Really good. You have 4 teams that work very well with each other. You have 4 teams that have different contrasting styles in the ring. You have a situation where you know that this match can go a little bit longer. This match is going to be about 16 minutes long, but it's really good. There's a really great segment where Pride and Powerful are going to get a ladder from underneath the ring, and lo and behold, Orange Cassidy, who did not come out with the Best Friends, is lying, sleeping on top of that ladder. Crowd pops. How could you not? It's Orange Cassidy. Great segment, great match. PNP pick up the win. They are definitely pushing them, and it's a great kind of situation set up for them because now you've got 2 back-to-back wins for the Inner Circle. You're positioning the Inner Circle well, especially when you consider that the Elite have kind of been starting to pick up steam against the Inner Circle. It's good to have some strong Inner Circle wins, and Then there's a segment where Jen Decker is going to interview the bastard, Pac. And Pac does a really good job because he has kidnapped Michael Nakazawa, and so he does a really great job of saying, "Well, Jen, you didn't introduce." Oh wait, no, that's Scottish. Gosh, that's horrible. Uh, I'll work on the British accent, but he says that you didn't introduce one of our guests, and Jen's confused. He doesn't know what's going on. He goes to the back, brings out Michael Nakazawa, and he has a really great moment where he positions a chair on Nakazawa's neck. He's on the top rope, sitting on the top rope. It looks like he's going to jump off and injure Nakazawa's neck. And so he's demanding yet again that rubber match with Kenny. They both have wins against each other. And so he wants that rubber match, and he says that this is your last warning. He jumps off, but he intentionally does not connect. And now Omega knows he really could have injured Nakazawa. He chose not to. But if Kenny's not going to give him what he wants, in a weird but much better version of the Batista, give me what I want, now that I just thought about it. If Kenny's not going to give him what he wants, or AEW management will not give Pac what he wants, then there could actually be injuries here. He's not playing around. After this, you have Shawn Spears versus Joey Janela. This match is... All right, so Spears is out first with Tully. He's cutting a promo, and it looks like he's going to tell a kid at ringside that Santa Claus is not real. Before he can do so, or as he is attempting to do so, Janela comes out to Christmas music while dressed as Santa Claus. This is a match that Jim Cornette is going to hate, because the Outlaw Mud Wrestler is dressed like Santa Claus. And he's in the ring with somebody who Jim Cornette actually does like, Shawn Spears. At one point in this match, Janela and Spears are kind of in the crowd, and as it happens, there's a guy dressed like Jesus. Hipster Jesus, as Excalibur will dub him. It is pretty funny. It's a good match. Janela's going to win with a elbow drop, and after the match, they keep cutting to the Jesus guy, and Jesus guy really is involved in the match in his own special Jesus-y way. After the match, Janela gets out to White Claws, or Santa Claus as they call them, by the announce team. He gets in the ring and he offers one to Spears as a token of, let's put bygones behind us. It's the holiday spirit. Spears is like, really? Janela's like, yeah, absolutely. Spears takes the White Claw. It turns out that it was all a ruse because they are in Texas. And he hits him with the stunner. And then celebrates with his White Claws on the top rope, doing the Austin, pour the beer. Crowd's eating it up. That's how Dark ends. And that's how we will end this recap of AEW Dark and NWA Power. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next week. I think the review will probably take place in the new year. But I don't think there is an episode of Dark. I think it's a recap of just moments throughout Dynamite since Dynamite started airing in October. But there will be a new episode of NWA Power with that really big match between Aldous and Tim Storm. So I'll see you guys next week as we recap that.